Is Star Wars dead? Is Star Wars dead? Let's go.
No.
I mean, I'm asking you that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't even think about like buying anything new of Star Wars. If there's anything that even like remotely is like, oh, that would be cool. It's something used that was made a long, long time ago.
Here's how I feel. Star Wars is that ex-girlfriend I just don't care about anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, we were in love once, and then things changed, and it's time to move on to the next one.
All right. All right. Well, I feel like my level of interest, it was really because I had hoped for Kenobi. The Kenobi show was like, hey, there's hope here. There's hope here. This could be really cool if it's written like they didn't lean into the drama. They leaned into what ended up being a children's show.
Yeah.
And I say that because the young girl who played, not her fault, who played, Princess Leia, it just was dumb. It was dumb. And also doesn't make any sense when you consider that they met. That she sent off a message to him.
Yeah.
It doesn't mention, feels nothing. Basically, Luke Skywalker, who like, you taught me about the Force a couple hours ago, and now you're gone, Obi-Wan Kenobi. That Kenobi series had so much potential, and it was all incredibly squandered.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned it before it came out. It was like, this is the show that if this franchise is to survive, it needs to be, they need to hit out of the ballpark with that one. And they didn't. And weirdly, Andor is the best thing that Star Wars has put out so far.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that 100%. I don't know.
Well, something was better than Andor?
Well, it was different. It was Les Miserables. That's what it was pointed out.
Right, but it was fundamentally a better produced show than anything that's come out. I mean, even, just the fact that The Mandalorian season 3 takes place mostly on the desert and then on these lame sets of Coruscant. I'm just so unimpressed compared to Andor. I was impressed with the sets. I was impressed with the production design, the way they use, TIE fighters, and it is a fundamentally better show than anything that's come out of Disney Plus, and Star Wars for that matter, since Disney Plus began.
Well, I'll just say that I'm going to repeat it. This might be the last time I'm going to mention it, but the thing that also checked me out of Obi-Wan Kenobi, which should be baseline, attention to detail. Attention to detail matters. There's a sequence where Obi-Wan Kenobi is on a shuttle. He's on a ship, and they use the cheapest looking chairs that someone got from IKEA. If you're on a spaceship, your chairs are battened down. Why? Because you're on a spaceship. They're not like cheap chairs that you would see in the IKEA cafeteria with those delicious Swedish meatballs. Here's I'm entering this into evidence. Check this out. See how the chair moves like it's some cheap IKEA chair? I know. Am I the only one that was upset by those little details? But see, that's what made Star Wars feel so real and so lived in from the mind of George Lucas, is everything had to feel real. Even if you didn't understand what a piece of equipment that was in the corner, you didn't understand what it did. In George Lucas's head, he understood. Those like gonk droids? It was, okay, gonk droids. There's these droids that just walk around gonk, gonk, gonk. They have a purpose. The purpose is their batteries. They're basically, if you need battery power, a gonk droid walks up, you plug in, and you can recharge your Galaxy iPhone or whatever. And I find that George Lucas is making everything so practical and so real world that everything has a meaning and a purpose, even if it's not used, was amazing. Here's a small detail from the original Star Wars that I thought was amazing. That robots were made to be practical and anthropomorphized. Okay. So you have you've got the droids like R2-D2, right? The astromech droids, which are sort of like, the galactic version of a Swiss Army knife. It does all sorts of different things. Then you've got the protocol droid, which are more meant to deal with humans, right? And so they mimic a human's look, and they can speak all these languages. There's a protocol style droid that's on the Jawa Sandcrawler that is based on an alien race. They made this protocol droid. You know what I'm talking about. You've seen it. But what a detail that it's such a vast galaxy that a different alien race is like, well, we're just going to make a head of a robot that kind of, is how we see ourselves. That's the level of detail. That's the depth that George Lucas thought about this. And what's missing from Star Wars is George Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's missing.
A singular vision.
His imagination, his vision, that is what's missing from Star Wars. That's why it's not working.
Star Wars now, in terms of a vision, it's all done by committee. It's Kathleen Kennedy and whoever, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and my guess is they don't talk to each other. They don't get along, and they can't. It's like what, the simple question should be, what is the direction of the Star Wars universe at this point in time? And all the series and everything should be pointing to that direction. Unfortunately, this series is pointing to the sequels, and that's the waste right there. I mean, if you really think about it, the Phantom Menace skewed young. You had young Anakin. You had Jar Jar was there for the kids. Anakin hung out with his kid friends. He fell in love with a teenager. But the pod race scene, I think, is the thing that appeals to kids the most. But in spite of all that, he still made the story somewhat palatable for adults. And grew over time as well.
The problem with that scene, the pod race scene, which arguably very action-packed scene, nothing matters. We know that Anakin isn't going to die because he's going to be in 2 more movies, and he has to become Darth Vader. So there are no stakes whatsoever. Yeah. Now,
I will throw out that scene, you had never seen it before. And that doesn't matter. I think it does in that context, in the sense of George Lucas at the time of making the prequels was doing groundbreaking work in terms of filmmaking, computerized filmmaking, and again, this is stuff we had never seen before, and I think we give it a pass. Today, that stuff's passé. We've seen it over and over and over again.
Let me contrast it with this. Okay, there's a really good book called The Secret History of Star Wars. Get the audio book, because the guy does the voices of like Irving Kershner in it. It's great. Grab the audiobook of The Secret History of Star Wars. You will learn so much. George Lucas knew when he was laying out the outline of the events of what was going to happen in The Empire Strikes Back. He knew that the audience wouldn't believe that Darth Vader would kill Luke Skywalker. He knew that the audience wouldn't believe that the main protagonist of Star Wars could die. So Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker are having a lightsaber duel. You're not going to kill the main character. However, that's not what that lightsaber duel is about. The lightsaber duel between Darth and Luke the first time in Empire is not about Darth defeating Luke, because he could defeat him if he wanted to. It was about whether he could turn Luke to the dark side, which George believed he could convince the audience might happen because of his connection to his what came to be his father. And there were the stakes. And because the pod race didn't have those kinds of stakes, the events didn't matter. It needed to be more clever. Maybe Anakin has a brother. The brother gets killed. Anakin's responsible. He feels bad about it. He could have used the Force, but didn't use. There's so many different dramatic reasons for other things to happen. You can sit here.
I will slightly disagree. That the entire pod race sequence was established that Anakin was a purveyor of the Force, and that no one believed in him except Qui-Gon. Okay, stakes kind of low there, but that's why that scene exists. And we can debate as to whether it went on too long, but I enjoyed it. I really did.
Well,
I really did love that pod race scene.
Pour one out for Watto.
Yeah.
Watto
was such a great character.
Watto is going to come back, I predict, in The Mandalorian. Watto's coming back. Republic credits are no good around here. I need something more real.
Well, you're speaking to the creativity. You're speaking to the creativity of Lucas to have created. I mean, Watto is a standout character, and he's such a minor supporting character too.